Black and gold fans, college football fans, welcome back or welcome in to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where we examine, discuss, honor, and celebrate all things college football across the entire college football landscape, but with a very special emphasis on our beloved black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. Guys, this is my reaction and recap to Iowa's loss on Black Friday at home to the visiting Nebraska Cornhuskers. Final score 24-17. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the West was lost. Thanks, guys, for coming back again. I'm your usual host, Blair Parks. And first and foremost, before I break down what this game meant, obviously tough, difficult loss for us Hawkeye fans. But before I break it down, I do want to say this. I hope each and every one of you had a very safe, happy, jubilant Thanksgiving holiday and break. Now it's time for us to get back to reality, to our jobs, to the classroom for some of us who are students, or back to the home to tend to that and the kids, and also to adjust to our extended waistlines from everything that we ate. I mean, you know me, I am a glutton, you can count on that. But folks, wow, I mean, just to sum up this game, which if you missed it, I did inform you guys that I was in attendance with my brother and my 10-year-old son, hoping to witness Iowa win and clinch the Big Ten West Division, then earning a return trip back to Indy. We all knew what was on the line, guys. Simply win and you're in, and that did not happen. And man, well, that sucked. It just did. Wow. So before I break this down, it was really such a letdown to be in the crowd. I mean, we were so pumped up, wanting desperately to see our beloved Hawkeyes hoist the trophy, to celebrate with them, and everything was looking like it was going to end up very positive. All right, coming into the game, we knew of Nebraska's struggles coming in. They came into the game with a record of 3-8. Iowa came into the game 7-4 on the heels of a 4-game win streak. Big time underdogs were the visiting Cornhuskers. But when push came to shove, guys, almost everything that could have possibly gone wrong for Iowa pretty much did. And I'm going to break those things down here in a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's how the West was lost, unfortunately. A golden opportunity lost, and when the horn sounded, the only thing you could hear was the jubilation of every Nebraska Cornhusker fan who was in attendance. And we heard the fans across the Big Ten footprint down in Champaign, Illinois. All the Fighting Illini fans were celebrating. And then keep going east, all of the fans in West Lafayette, all of the Purdue Boilermakers fans were also celebrating that moment on Black Friday when Iowa lost. So with the win, Nebraska improves to 4-8 overall, 3-6 in Big Ten Conference play. Iowa falls to 7-5 overall, 5-4 in Big Ten Conference play. Wow, I'm telling you, and I got a lot of things to say about this game, how it unfolded, about the Nebraska fans who were in attendance, and also what this means for the Big Ten title game coming up this week now in Indianapolis. Got a lot to say about that, and also we saw some big-time results that are going to shake up not just the Big Ten, but also the college football playoff rankings. And what does that mean for your team within the Big Ten Conference? So before I say any more, guys, please subscribe, like, share, comment. I always want to hear from you, the viewer, These episodes are driven by you. I always encourage and welcome any of your insight, your comments, questions, thoughts. They are all welcome here, whether you're a fan of the black and gold or not. I want to hear from you, all you college football fanatics, the entire college football universe, and I promise you I will respond to each and every one of you individually to the comments that you leave here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Now this game, guys, the things that went wrong, okay? Still, did I pick Iowa to win? Absolutely I did. All right, I knew it was a rough season for Nebraska. It seemed like at the start of the day that interim coach Mickey Joseph was going to be on the way out. Nebraska does have a new head coach, and I'll talk about the new head coach in Nebraska and at Wisconsin, the breaking news today that came out. It has been a few days, guys. Here it is. It's Sunday evening. We just got back a few hours ago, back in Missouri. So I wanted to come before you sooner, but just didn't have the chance, spending quality time with the family, over the road, traveling. But also it was good to kind of let this loss kind of sink in and then leave, to exercise those demons. So I definitely do feel much better. I do feel more like talking about it. But I am a little bit tired, guys, so I might be a little bit off my game. But this is what went wrong. And when I say what went wrong, I am taking no credit from what Nebraska did. So all of you big Red fans, don't sit there and say, oh, he's making excuses. I am not, okay? I'm taking nothing from you. You came in, you won. It was your Super Bowl after all. I mean, you're not going bowling. And by the way, you haven't gone to a bowl game since, 2016? So if you're not familiar with what a troll is, I just trolled you, by the way. But I'm not taking anything away from what your squad did inside Kinnick Stadium on Black Friday, okay? But this is what happened, all right? Coming into the game, we knew that Iowa's best offensive player, stud tight end Sam Laporta, was going to be unavailable. He left the first quarter 2 weeks. He left in the first quarter 2 weeks ago against Minnesota in the battle for the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy. Little nicked up. He did participate in the senior on senior day, the senior send-off. So that shows right there he is not coming back for another season in Iowa City. But he did walk onto the field. I think it's something that should be good to go by the time bowl season rolls around. So we knew we were down our best offensive weapon. Okay. And eventually we had some key injuries during the game, and I'll kind of set this out the more and more that we get into it, all right? Now, early on, I mean, Nebraska chose to kick, which is that was the right decision to make, all right? Basically because, hey, you know how good the Iowa offense is, right? So that was the right decision. They kicked it deep. It was 3 and out. And this is what happened. I'm just going to say there was some studly play on the field Friday. I mean, Trey Palmer, absolutely. I think for Trey Palmer, the wide receiver from Nebraska, I think his Thanksgiving Day was Friday, not Thursday, because he absolutely feasted on the Iowa secondary. And the reason why I think a lot of that opened up for him is early in the first quarter, already down Sam Laporta during a simple block, something that didn't look very harmful, but all of a sudden the scrum clears. There's an Iowa player down on the field, motionless. Thank goodness he did get up and walk off on his own power. But the person who was temporarily knocked out, I mean, there was no movement, was Cooper the Machine DeJean, one of our best playmakers, one of our best corners, or he can play safety as well. So he leaves in the first quarter. He does not return. I don't know if he's now in concussion protocol or not. I would think so. So our best cover guy is out. So Trey Palmer then really picked on the next man in, which ended up being a couple of freshmen and a sophomore, guys who had no real playing time this season, trying to cover Nebraska's best receiver, their best playmaker, and he had an absolute heyday. So right there, we lose Cooper DeJean, all right? Now, Just after that, on Iowa's second offensive possession, this is what happens, guys. And the offensive line, I mean, I've been saying this all year. I mean, the offensive line has been the biggest issue for the offense of Iowa, not just this season, guys, but also last season, okay? And here's something else. The play calling, normally I haven't got on the coaching staff. I mean, have I a little bit? Have I been critical of them? Absolutely, for good reason. But I try to see things on both sides of the spectrum. I try to be as objective as possible. I try not to be a Homer Simpson. But I haven't watched a lot of Nebraska games this season, okay? I've watched a little bit. I watched the entire Week 0 game in Ireland against Northwestern and some other games throughout the year. You don't have to be a scout, right, or an expert to know, hey, where is Nebraska weak? For those of you who said on the lines of scrimmage, ding, 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 you're correct. All right? They have been porous on the defensive line and the offensive line all season. That's really what the major issues were under Scott Frost as well. Granted, they have good playmakers at the skill positions, but their Achilles heel has always been their play along the lines of scrimmage. And guess what? Do you think Iowa attacked that? No. The first two possessions, basically Iowa just tried to air it out without relying on that run game to just deliver body blow after body blow to the Nebraska defensive line. They did not do it. They decided to be basically a West Coast offense, a spread, and just throw it. And what happened? The second offensive possession, a typical naked bootleg. We've seen it so many times called. You got Spencer Petras out there. Little play action, naked bootleg, unprotected. Guy who's not very agile or mobile or hostile. There's a blitzer off the end, unprotected. And what does he do? Takes him down. Not only is it a sack, but a strip sack. So now it's Nebraska's ball, who's already up 7-0 because of a Trey Palmer 87-yard touchdown reception, by the way. But also to compound it, Spencer Petras gets up and he's shaking his arm and his shoulder. And guess what, guys? He never returns to the game midway through the first quarter, okay? So for all of you Iowa fans out there who've been calling for Alex Padilla all season, well, you got him. And guess what? Do you think it was any better? No, it wasn't. Did he play better throughout the game? He did. But it's very obvious, guys, and I have been saying this all season. If you've been watching, especially these instant reaction and recap or reaction and recap episodes, that I have neither been a friend or a foe of Spencer Petras. I don't know the young man, obviously. All I know is fifth-year senior. It's his senior day. He didn't deserve this to happen to him. And he's been through so much. This young man has had to shoulder so much blame and booze and criticism from Iowa fans and media about, it's because Spencer Petras is why their offense is awful. Some of that, yes, is warranted, but the majority of it has been the offensive line, the play calling, the scheme. But the thing is, it was obvious, and I've been saying this all year, guys. Spencer Petras, whether you love him or hate him, he is Iowa's best option to win right now. And that's all that matters, especially in a game of this magnitude to where, hey, we win, we go back to Indianapolis, okay? So when he went out, at that point, it was 10-0. When Alex Padilla took his first snap, which I believe his first snap was a fumble, but thank goodness Iowa recovered it. He did have a strip sack later in the game that Nebraska did recover, okay? So overall, Iowa had 4 turnovers. I mean, Alex Padilla did throw 1 interception, but, I mean, I got to say this, guys. The entire game, you've got Alex Padilla out there, and still you're trying to primarily throw the ball. You're down 10-0, okay? It's still plenty of time to get in the game, all right? And Iowa is continuing to throw the ball out of an empty set. A guy who doesn't have a lot of experience, to how to identify blitz packages or schemes or zone reads. a guy who doesn't take, nothing close to first team snaps, and you put it on Alex Padilla to do everything. They did not run, I believe, the first series that he was in the ball game. I didn't understand that. We know that's where Nebraska is weakest, against the run, on the line of scrimmage, and they did not run. Eventually they did, and they were picking up, 5 yards a clip? I've got it here. I mean, rushing average per rushing attempt just under 4 yards, 3.8. So 4 yards a carry. That ain't bad. We'll take that, okay? That keeps you ahead of schedule. But they didn't do it. It really was disappointing. I mean, watching that unfold. So for all of you who say, give me Alex Padilla, well, you have him. Good luck with him, all right? Because obviously he is not ready to run this offense, to be a leader of these young men. Maybe with more reps and time, he'll get there. And I don't know how severe this injury is to Spencer Petras. He was on the sideline, but he had his right arm in a sling, so that's not good. So he may or may not be available for the bowl game. So if it is Alex Padilla, at least he's got time now to take advantage of those extra practices, to get first team reps, and hopefully be more prepared to play in the bowl game. All right, and I'm really excited to see who they're going to match up against this bowl season. So Alex Padilla was ineffective. He did, though, put Iowa ultimately in position to at least tie. So we'll get to that. At halftime, guys, it's 17-0. I mean, Trey Palmer had a heyday, I already said. He ended up scoring 2 receiving touchdowns. Final numbers for Trey Palmer receiving, 9 receptions, 165 yards total, 2 touchdowns. I mean, that's getting it done. I mean, and he just feasted all over Cooper DeJean's replacements. And it really was rotating at that point. We're down Cooper. We're down Coop. We're already down Terry Roberts. I mean, so it really was kind of at that point open the floodgates. And now at halftime, we're down 17-0 with an ineffective offense. A quarterback who is not ready for the moment. And then to start the third quarter, guys, all right? The Nebraska receives. Iowa does what they do. They force the 3 and out. And then another thing that happens, guys, something that doesn't really happen, that Arlen Bruce muffed the punt return. Nebraska takes over deep in Iowa territory, and they cash in with another touchdown. So before you know it, before most people were back from halftime in their seats, from hitting the head or the concession stand, guess what? It's 24-0 early in the third quarter, Nebraska. At that point, it was just too much. Even though Iowa probably is a better team than Nebraska, you can't spot someone a 24-point lead with a backup quarterback, without one of your best playmakers on defense, and also he's a return guy as well. So maybe if he's there, he doesn't muff that punt that gave them another touchdown, another turnover. And then you maybe don't lose your starting quarterback. It really compounded things for Iowa and made it difficult. And plus, an offense that only averages 17 points per game all season. I mean, the Iowa offense is what it is. They are who we thought they were. And they had no chance. They did fight back. They did score on a rushing touchdown. Go figure, when they started to really focus more on the ground game. The guy I'm really high on, true freshman Caleb Johnson, broke off a long run, a 44-yard touchdown scamper. At that point, it's 24-7. Into the third quarter, it's the same score. Iowa then drives the field, making it 24-14 in the fourth quarter. Ultimately, they do. And this is what happens, guys. At this point, it's 24-7 at the end of the third quarter. The Nebraska fans, and we did sit behind the Nebraska sideline, behind their bench, but that being said, it's still 95% Iowa fans, right? Now, at that point, the Nebraska fans are celebrating. They're jubilant. A lot of them, I think, kind of maybe put the wagon ahead of the horse, but the two Nebraska fans that I sat next to, a younger couple, not young, but younger, very, very cordial, very friendly. They said, you know what? we've seen this happen before. If anybody can give away a 24-point lead, we've proven it's us, okay? And it really started getting a little bit more out of hand, and I'll talk more about some of the fan interaction there that I saw. But then it started. Next possession, Nebraska on the second play. Actually, the first play after they receive, there's a fumble. It's reviewed. It's called down on the field. It's overturned. Iowa ball. They're in business. Iowa cannot move the ball. They can't cash in. But Drew Stevens, the true freshman, gets out there. Probably the biggest kick of maybe his entire career happened Friday. At this point, we're down 10. This kick was for Indianapolis. If he misses this early in the fourth quarter and it's still a 10-point game, Iowa at that point's got no shot. He drills it straight through. Well, he kind of snuck it in a little bit, but it's good. So now Iowa is down a single score with enough time left. But they got it back twice under 4.5 minutes, twice, and they could not move the ball. And they couldn't cash it in the end zone to force overtime, guys. Or who knows, go for 2 for the win. I don't know. But 4 turnovers, you can't get over that, to 1 of Nebraska's, and one of those being a muffed punt, right? And also the very, very ugly, untimely penalties for Iowa. I mean, they came at the absolute wrong times. Let's see, overall penalties, we had 7 for 65 yards, and I think 3 of those were on 3rd down, and 1 was on 4th down on a punt, and just self-inflicted wounds. It's like the script was reversed. We've seen Nebraska do this. We've seen Nebraska do Nebraska things and shoot themselves in the foot, right? We've seen that time and time again. Look at last year's Black Friday battle in Lincoln when they were up 21-6 at the start of the fourth quarter, and Iowa comes back. Usually it's not Iowa that does this, but on Friday it was. Nebraska basically out-Iowa'd Iowa and did not make those self-inflicted wounds. They took care of the ball for the most part. Quarterback Casey Thompson had a really, really excellent, solid game. I mean, they knew exactly what to do because Casey Thompson is a little bit fleet of foot. He can escape. So when he was under duress, he did escape. But if he didn't, he got rid of the ball quickly. They scouted well and took the Iowa advantage of that D-line and linebacker core out of Iowa's hands and just got rid of the ball quickly, those timing routes. He had a really good game. I mean, I was really impressed watching Casey Thompson. I was. And he definitely showed up. He showed up and showed out. He definitely did. So, yeah, it was just really disappointing to see. I mean, I was really hoping to share that moment with my son. What a great moment it would have been, but hey, that's the way the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. And where we go from here, well, I already said, Nebraska, they'll be finding themselves staying home for the holiday, but that's not meant to be a kick in the you-know-what. It's just the truth. But with that victory, not only does it take away the West Division potentially from Iowa, because remember, at the end of the day, Iowa still had an outside shot to win the West, but it was very unrealistic. And I'll get to that here in a little bit. But with that victory, Nebraska, for the first time in 7 tries, they capture and take the Heroes Trophy back to Lincoln. That's right. Iowa had beaten Nebraska 7 straight times. So nobody currently on the Nebraska staff or players had never felt that feeling of beating Iowa and holding or possessing the Heroes Trophy. So congratulations to them, though. They did come in. They took care of business. But could it have been different if Iowa was at full strength, or at least if Spencer Petras is in throughout the game? I'm not one of those who likes to say the what-ifs or could-haves, but it would have been nice to see. But everything just was going against Iowa early. It just was. Except for the weather. I mean, the weather was beautiful. I mean, 40s, very, very light to no wind, no precip whatsoever, which maybe that was something negative, because if it is a lot of wind and some precip, ice or snow, it probably actually would have helped Iowa, because then you take away the aerial attack on Nebraska. So I stand incorrect. Probably the good weather probably was something else that went against Iowa potentially. But yeah, it just was a really sore taste in our mouths when we left. But my son had a great time. It was a great game. He was into it, as was my brother. Great memories made still. And still I can't walk away being upset or angry or frustrated, because still just being there at that time with my brother and my son, it was great. All right. And please, guys, comment, like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. But yeah, I mean, the Iowa defense maybe came out a little bit sluggish. I mean, I'm always a little bit concerned about Senior Day, guys, and here's why. Before the game, you get pumped up, you get your game face on, but then timeout, we got to shift gears, a total 180. Slow it down and put on a nice big smile and a hug for mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. Then it gets you out of that pregame routine. It just does. So that's something else that was going against Iowa here. I've always been a proponent of doing Senior Day festivities at the conclusion of a game, not the beginning of a game. You just should do it that way. I don't know. But yeah, so congratulations to Nebraska. And before I get to what this means for the Big Ten title game and some other things that we saw within the Big Ten yesterday during rivalry week and what a rivalry week it was, I've got to say this about my interaction with Nebraska fans, okay? And really what I just happened to observe. Now, this was the first time I've ever seen Iowa play Nebraska, so I was able to cross that one off my list, okay? And I'm going to say this to be just clear. I am one of those people that when I have a bad experience with a fan base of any sport, whether it's college football, baseball, hockey, basketball, whatever it is, okay? I'm not one of those who says, a few sour apples ruins it for the whole bunch. I don't play that way, okay? Because I know every fan base of every team and every sport, there's always going to be good fans and there's going to be bad fans. I know that. So when I say what I'm about to say, it doesn't say that I'm calling out every single Big Red fan. I am not. Because I know there's not good Iowa fans either. Okay? I'll say that. I've experienced that. And maybe I saw some of that on Black Friday as well. But during the game, when Nebraska gets out to their big lead, 17-0, 24-0, just a lot of banter among fans with a lot of profanity, a lot of sexual innuendo, I heard a couple of racially oriented jokes as well. And I get it. In my youth, did I drop F-bombs, this and that at a game when I was getting, caught up in the passion in the moment? Of course I did. We all do. But now that I have my 10-year-old there, it just was something that I didn't want to experience. And nobody did. And it only got worse and worse. Not just Nebraska fans mouthing to Iowa fans. Also, Iowa fans then would respond to Nebraska fans. There was even bickering among Nebraska fans. Some saying, oh, relax. Others saying, F that. Whatever. I'm here. I can say and do what I want. This game's over. So that's why I really wanted Iowa to come back and win. Not just because I'm a fan, but they were really laying it on pretty thick. All right. And it wasn't a great first impression. I'll just say it that way. Okay. But there was a lot of back talk from Iowa fans that I wasn't happy with either. Okay. And something that I get it. I'm not saying, hey, don't booze, because, hey, did I have a couple of drinks, a couple of cold beverages before the game? Of course I did. All right, I polished off 2 walking into the stadium. It was great with my brother. But, is it something that is alcohol-induced to make it worse? Yes. That's why, guys, I am not a fan of alcohol sales. You already have a potential bad situation increased now to a worse situation. I just don't like the decision that was made by the president, the chancellor, A.D. Barta, to start selling liquor inside Kinnick Stadium this season. I just don't like it, guys. Maybe not because I'm a dad or I'm an OG or I'm Debbie Downer, right? Or was it Negative Ned? I'm not that. I just think it's something that doesn't need to be indulged inside the stadium. If you're outside tailgating, getting your tailgate on, fine. But I don't like alcohol sales. And let me know, guys. Comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. But yeah, it wasn't a good first impression or interaction. But I will say this. Some of the Nebraska fans, I really saw a lot of jubilation, celebration. I mean, I even saw a couple of Nebraska fans with tears in their eyes saying, hey, it's been 7 long years. This was our bowl game. We know we're not going anywhere. We know we've been in a funk, right, for several seasons now. So it was great to see that. And I totally get that because I'm the one who gets caught up in that too. So overall, the majority of the Nebraska fans that I witnessed or observed or talked to were totally fine. But there were some guys that just got to check yourself before you wreck yourself, like my guy Ice Cube said. So that's it. And also Iowa fans too, all right? Just watch yourself. There's no need to be pulled into a phone booth of profanity and vulgarity. Just scrape it up, and hopefully next time let the team do the talking on the field, okay? But Nebraska fans, I hope you did celebrate as you should. It was great for you to see that, but, I would have liked it if it would have been at somebody else's expense. But so this is what it means, guys. So because of that, both Illinois and Purdue had a chance to clinch the Big Ten West. But what had to happen? Both of them had to have Iowa lose, which happened. But Illinois needed to win to defeat Northwestern, who they absolutely mopped. But Illinois needed Purdue to also lose. Purdue was able to go on the road to their in-state rival and defeat Indiana for the Oaken Bucket. So that means Purdue, you are the 2022 Big Ten West champions. Congratulations. Your first ever Big Ten West Division title. So you get to move on to Indianapolis. And a lot of people, I'm hearing some people talk about, Purdue backdoored into the title game. Nonsense. They took care of business. They did what they needed to do. That's just malarkey. That's bantha fodder, okay? Granted, yes, did Purdue have a little bit of a break via the schedule? Yes, they didn't have to play Ohio State or Michigan, and I got something to tell you about that game here next. They didn't have to play those two heavyweights. They did play Penn State, who did defeat them on opening week on Thursday night. So the schedule, yes, it did do them a little bit of a favor, but they won the biggest game of the year in the division. If you recall, yours truly, preseason, I picked Minnesota to win the West, and I think if they were fully healthy and all season, I would have loved to see them not lose their stud wide receiver, Chris Ottman-Bell, and have Tanner Morgan knocked out of several games with concussion issues. Their fifth-year quarterback, I think they were the best team, but we'll never know now. But I picked Minnesota to win because the biggest game this season within the Big Ten West was Minnesota hosting Purdue. I picked Minnesota to win that game, which would have then been the separation for winning. But that game, Purdue went to the Twin Cities, got the victory over Goldie, so they won the most important game this season within the Big Ten West. So congratulations, Purdue. Maybe they can be spoiler makers. I mean, they've knocked us off so many times. We've been ranked top 5, and they haven't been ranked. But now for their opponent, guys, we saw something happen that, to me, I was surprised but not shocked. Even though I picked Ohio State because I was unsure about the status of Michigan's running back core. I didn't know if Blake Corum was going to be available, or if available, how effective would he be. Also for Donovan, their other running back, their backup, who didn't play last week against Illinois at all. But that's right, guys. Michigan goes on the road and defeats number 2 Ohio State in Columbus. They've beat them now 2 years back to back, but the same blueprint through physicality. All right, they just still outperformed them on the lines of scrimmage. And J.J. McCarthy, guys, I really doubted his ability. I mean, the second half of the season definitely regressed a little bit, especially with the deep ball. But the opportunities that presented themselves Saturday in Columbus, boy, did he take advantage of those opportunities, and he delivered. I mean, big-time strikes, long touchdown passes, long touchdown runs when Ohio State was trying to adjust. So, yeah, congratulations, Michigan. I mean, so number 3 takes down number 2. So the Big Ten title game is set for this weekend coming up. Purdue takes on Michigan. Now, we saw some other things, guys, and I'm going to talk more about this Tuesday night during my college football rankings, instant reaction, and recap, so make sure you tune in for that. But what does this mean for the Big Ten's chances to get not 1 but 2 teams in the playoff? I think they're really good, guys. Obviously, Michigan's going to have to beat Purdue. They do that, they're automatically in. They're going to be in the playoff field yet again. But what we saw happen over the weekend during rivalry week, LSU lost at awful Texas A&M. They came in ranked number 5. That's right, they lost to Jimbo Fisher, the fraud himself, who was sitting there with 7 losses. So now they end the year 5-7. I've been saying for weeks, guys, LSU is not a top 6 team. They're not. This is now their 3rd loss, even if they beat Georgia in the SEC title game, which I don't see happening, by the way. They're not going to get in the college football playoff. They're eliminated. They're done. End of story. End of discussion. Also, Oregon lost. They lost at Oregon State, a really good, underrated 3-loss team. I think they're now out of the race. They're not even going to advance to the Pac-12 title game. Clemson, that's right. Clemson lost to their in-state rival. South Carolina goes to Death Valley and defeats Clemson and ends their 40-game winning streak. Wow. So the ACC and also North Carolina lost to an undermanned North Carolina State team in Chapel Hill. So the ACC is out. TCU won big. USC did defeat Notre Dame. So right now, this is what's going to happen. This is my prediction really quick. My top 4, what I predict is going to be shown by the committee on Tuesday night is number 1, Georgia, number 2, Michigan, number 3, TCU, number 4, USC, number 5, first team out is Ohio State. So this is what's going to happen. If either TCU or USC falter in their conference title games, it's TCU versus a very tough Kansas State squad, and USC is going to face off with Utah, a rematch. Utah defeated them early in the season up in Salt Lake City. If either one of those 2 teams lose, guys, I'm telling you right now, Ohio State's going to be the 4th seed and get an at-large, which then means that that'll be the first time ever that the Big Ten will get multiple teams in the playoff. And I think it's going to happen. Now, I don't really want to see it happen because I think those are the 4 teams that I just laid out that deserve it. And I would love to see, 4 different conferences actually be represented. And we all can agree the worst conference of the Power 5 this season is the ACC. So get them out, which they will be. So I would love to see that. Let's actually have conference supremacy on the line instead of having 2 teams from the SEC or 2 from the Big Ten. But I think it looks really good for Ohio State to get in still, guys. It really does. But we'll have to wait. So definitely tune in for my Tuesday night instant reaction and recap to those updated college football playoff rankings. And that's going to wrap it up here for my reaction and recap to the Iowa loss against Nebraska. Unfortunate, but then again, that's just how you roll in the wacky, wild Big Ten West. Just unfortunate. a season of what ifs, but then again, is Iowa's offense really worthy of getting to the Big Ten title game? Probably not. So I'm not going to say the best team, the most deserving team won the West. I don't know. But all I know is it's not our black and gold. So guys, that's it. I appreciate your time and thank you for all you do for the channel. Please like, share, subscribe, comment the hell out of it. I want to hear from you. What did you think about this game? What did you think about rivalry week in general? Did your team win? Did they lose? What do you think about my playoff predictions? My college football playoff ranking predictions I just laid off? Let me know. And thank you for your support and all that you've done and will continue to do for the channel. So until next time, guys, subscribe. Look out for updates here on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Until next time, thank you for joining me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. Talk to you soon.